Hello, and welcome to Anime Audio Commentary. Today I'll be commenting on episode 12 of Roshidere, or Alia Sometimes Hides Her Feelings in Russian. If you'd like to watch along, then start watching now. Alright, so just like that, it's the final episode, but the question is, what's actually going to happen this episode? Because I don't think I ever mentioned it during the past 12 or so episodes of this, but when I was going into this show, I was sort of under the impression that we would get some sort of a romantic climax whereby Kuze would reveal that he can speak Russian, perhaps even just out and out, speaking it and saying I love you in Russian or something to that effect. But as the season's gone on, we're focusing more and more on the politics and the student council and all this other stuff that, I didn't necessarily sign up for. But I guess my big issue at this point is, are we going to get any resolution on the student council stuff? Because it seems to me we're still a ways out from the actual election if they're just, going through debates and speeches and all that. And I don't know. I just have to wonder, what the whole point was. Because it seems like the initial premise of Alia occasionally hiding her feelings in a foreign language has kind of fallen by the wayside. And while it has been replaced by something that's occasionally interesting, it's kind of like a bait and switch. I guess, case in point, I'm more interested in the scene now for Yuki being involved. And I feel like it's not necessarily a good thing when a side character is the most entertaining. Albeit she is in more of an antagonistic role right now. So I guess, at least Yuki's doing something. She's seemingly stopped by just to needle Alia, saying stuff like, "Ooh, do you think poorly of me for humiliating you?" And Alia says no, which, come on now. I don't think that's entirely truthful, but man. I don't know. There's a lot I could say about the politics of this, because I feel like a more cynical person than I would say something like, Alia's not fit to be the student council president if she's not willing to stoop to all the things that her rivals are doing. It shows a lack of political tact. But on the other hand, even ignoring that sort of cynical point of view, I still don't necessarily think Alia deserves it, just because in every interaction she seems to be being carried by Kuze. And, he is ostensibly the running mate, the vice president, the guy who's supposed to be there as, maybe not backup, but somebody who looks good in the background, like insurance, if you will. If, the president couldn't act, the vice president would. Now, I guess something interesting is going on here in that Kuze and Yuki are talking on even terms here. You know, this political mudslinging has seemed to awake something in Kuze to the point where, he's saying like, hey, if you're gonna bite me, you better be prepared to sink your teeth all the way in, no half measures now. And I guess this is especially meaningful because Kuze doesn't necessarily know about Yuki's sob story, like, oh, I've got this older sibling whose shoes I have to fill, and no matter what I do, I'm never really good enough. That the older sibling who is better is saying, hey, you better watch out, like, whoa, buddy, that's not good. It reminds me of, what was that phrase, like, be careful not to wake up the sleeping giant? Yeah, unfortunately it seems as though Yuki might have done that. But despite that little bit of intrigue, this still sort of loops back around to the main point where the interactions with Yuki are far more interesting. Alia, she almost seems to be like a spectator in what should ostensibly be her story. Okay, so at least they're all thinking tactically. Yuki is sort of weighing up her options because it's that whole informal polling thing again, where if you go first, everyone claps politely, but the volume of the clapping is what's really important, so, if you're going first, you really have to wow everyone out of the gate. And I guess the idea is it's sort of high risk, high reward, because you're likely to get less applause, but if Yuki really wants to twist the knife, she should do that and just absolutely dominate Alia. Yeah, I don't necessarily mind all this politics and stuff, it's just I wish this had been the premise all along rather than a rom-com, At least Yuki has her head on straight. The president is the person you should be debating, or the candidate, I should say, and that candidate is by far the weak link, so, at least she sort of understands that her best case is to really just needle Alia and try and provoke a reaction. Yeah, I wonder what's gonna happen. Because I did talk previously about how it was a shame Alia didn't call out Taniyama and just really bang the podium and make fun of her and all that. Because that would have been very entertaining. But I wonder if Yuki's gonna do that. Because it certainly wouldn't be becoming of a student council debate like this. But the most important thing is that it would be really funny. And I guess I'm wondering what the debate topic will be, or if it's just pure statements on their candidacy and how they would be in charge and all that. Because, at least last time they had a topic of debate. I mean, I did think that was kind of weird that they would do something like that, rather than debate one another. Well, I don't know. I guess the question is there a topic, and if so, what is it? Because I feel like if there's a set topic, it's probably something convenient, shall we say, like the other topic was at the time. Now the question is, are we just gonna sit through speeches and all that? Okay, well, the question is, what is Yuki's vision? Does she give something as unhinged as she is as a person? I feel like that's likely not going to be the case. I mean, she's even lampshading it, oh, people wouldn't expect something so ordinary from me. Okay. So she's making it a policy to actually look at the suggestion boxes so that people use them? Wow, I was talking about how, a debate could be interesting and all that, but, this is veering towards boring. I mean, at least Yuki's saying, do you guys think a suggestion box would be a waste of time? It seems like that's the case, but, my goal is to listen to you. I guess, it's good that she's sort of addressing the actual issues and worries of her, quote-unquote constituents, the students. But, yeah, I don't know. I mean, at least she's not tying herself to any one big campaign promise, as it were. She's effectively saying, look, what you guys want, I will listen. And really, that's probably about as good as you can get from a student council president. And you know what? She is bringing up her experience, too, which is probably a good point in her favor. Okay, yeah. I'm glad my impression wasn't wrong that she was basically saying a whole lot of nothing. Because, no actual concrete promises. It's just hey, I'll listen to you guys. So the question is, how is Alia... I'll take that back. She's not competing right away. Oh. Okay, so it's the maid. I feel like she's cleaned up a bit. Not that she was ever, unbecoming or anything, but I feel like her hair is usually a bit messier. And I guess when you think about it, having a maid, specifically your maid as your vice president, is, I feel like it's a double-edged sword, because on the one hand, she's there to witness a lot of stuff. But I don't know. I feel like most people might see that it's a conflict of interest, this is an employer-employee relationship, in essence. So, yeah, of course you have to talk good about your boss. Yeah, so it seems like that was a pretty standard speech saying, hey, these are all the good points of my running mate, vote for her, blah, blah, blah. So the question is, how is Alia going to screw this up? Because I feel like she's the weak link here. Kuze is going to have to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat, as it were. So I get the feeling she's just going to be stilted in her speech. Maybe she'll freeze up. Oh my god, they're actually doing it. Alia's hiding her feelings in Russian. Now, I think once again it's telling that we're not being given subtitles, but at the same time, I feel like this is probably a strategic blunder by speaking in a language no one else understands. Yeah, this strikes me as, oh. Okay, she's playing it off like she was nervous. I feel like that's not great either. I mean, people are taking it as a joke, but, okay. I guess I sort of see the wisdom in that, really, wrong foot the entire crowd and get them to forget about Yuki. Huh. I don't know. I feel like anyone even paying moderate attention would be a little too put off by something like that. Ooh. I'm not sure about this approach either, where she's basically saying, look, I don't know entirely what the job entails, but I'm willing to learn. I feel like, you should instead be projecting confidence. I mean, maybe this is being done deliberately to contrast with Yuki, seeing as how she already has experience anyways, so, it's already a lost cause, as it were, but I feel like maybe you shouldn't admit that. Maybe it's one of those fake it till you make it sort of situations. Like, rather than focusing on her faults, so to speak, that she doesn't have the proper experience, maybe focus on, her good points. Like, sure, she is determined to a fault to work alone if need be. Is it really such a bad thing to have a singularly dedicated student council president? I would argue that is a boon, Better to have a diligent president than a lazy one. Which isn't even to say that Yuki would be lazy, but merely lazy by comparison. Wow, these speeches have been going on for a while. I get the feeling that if the voting does happen at all, it's going to be like a montage or something, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. Now that is kind of bold by saying that, putting it on the table, the criteria for her to drop out. Like, that's kind of ballsy. So I guess, she did reasonably well, which is, I guess from my position, not exactly expected. So I guess, what's Kuze gonna say now? Like, surely he's gotta take a more humorous approach, right? In contrast to Alia. But, yeah, I don't know. Like, I guess I would say I don't know if that's the right approach either, but it seems to have been working where he contrasts with Alia, who's a lot more reserved. Oh dear. It's not good to start off on a bad joke. Although, I guess it is good that, oh, yeah. I was gonna say it's good that he's bringing up his experience, but that he's saying, like, look, I do have experience. I have experience with Yuki, and I've switched sides for these very important reasons, thereby, plunging the stake right into their campaign. That's almost dastardly, Like, I feel like he's trying to play it off as humorous, but man. Yeah, this is striking me as a bit of an unconventional speech, especially seeing as how he's saying, like, Alia's speech was kind of awkward. And, like, yeah, it was genuine and heartfelt too, but, I don't know. It definitely feels like a calculated thing to call his running mate awkward, but... Huh. I guess that is a good approach, saying, like, these are my reasons for switching sides. This is why you should vote for Alia. If it was good enough for me, it should be good enough for you. Ooh. Oh, that's something. Basically saying, like, yeah, the other people who dropped out, they'll be joining us as members of the council, so, if you wanted to vote for them, just vote for us instead. Man, just like that, like, that's bad for Yuki. I don't know. I don't know if this is, like, strictly against the rules or anything like that, but something about it does seem a little underhanded. But at the same time, I don't think there's really anything against it either. Like, sure, you could do something like this, but just sort of, pulling the rug out from Yuki like this. Yeah, and it's even, so they were essentially doing Alia a favor, which, pretty big favor, but I guess they do get a sweet gig out of it by being appointed to the council. Man. I'm not sure I would have been so quick to offer Taniyama a position after the things she did, but I guess if it works, if it gets you into the presidency, so be it. Yeah, so at least Yuki realizes she's cooked, There's no two ways about it, they have been bested, so I guess the question is, do they bow out and make it an uncontested election, or what? Alright, now, that's seemingly it. I guess, are we gonna vote now, or what's the deal then? Because, it seems Kusei's saying, ooh, anticlimactic while looking at the grade rankings, but can't help but feel that that's kind of apt. Because, surely, now that we've gotten all the politics out of the way, we can have a little romance, right? Maybe just a little bit? Perhaps Alia hiding her feelings in Russian? Oh, and there's the bet. I'd forgotten about that. Kusei lost, so he's gonna have to do something she decides. But, the question is, does she have it in her to, actually do something? That's something that she wasn't, planning on winning. Ooh. Okay, so he is sort of making a move by saying, hey, you can call me by my given name, rather than my surname, which is, indicative of people who are close. But, okay, yeah. Yeah, let's just do that and dance around the romance. Man. It's unfortunate how vigorously they're dancing around it. I figured it would have been a nice step in the right direction, and I suppose it is, but it's an unfortunately tentative and shy step. Okay, yeah, so it's just summer break, they're preparing for the election, we don't even get a conclusion to that. Man, I recognize that the entire story doesn't have to be told in one 12-episode season, but it would be nice to get, something. Oh, we might be getting something. Never mind. Man, shame on me for thinking she would actually lean in and give him a kiss. Oh dear. Alright, well that's it for this episode. If you've enjoyed it, then by all means, tune in for the next one. See you, Space Cowboy.